Marissa Moser. And she's going to talk about nutrition, because I know everybody is always interested. The topic always comes up. What do we do? And these are the kinds of things that are in our control, right? So how can we take better care of ourselves and give our bodies the best that we can do to be able to work as well as it can on our behalf? So I'll turn it over to Marissa. And then we'll do some Q&A afterwards. We've got time for that. So if you have questions, we'll open it up. And if we have questions from our live stream, we'll ask those as well. Off we go.
How about now? Yeah? Okay. So my name is Marissa Moser, and I am a dietitian at Rush University Medical Center. And I work primarily in oncology, specifically with a bone marrow transplant team, some medical oncologists, and also the hematology team as well. And then a part of my job is I also work in radiation oncology. So in total, I work with a lot of different types of diseases and cancers, and I am so excited to present to you today. So my title is Eating Well When Unwell, a guide for patients and families. So the objectives of today's study is to identify the nutrients essential for proper nutrition, to understand the benefits of good nutrition during and after cancer treatment, to identify nutrition-related side effects that may occur during treatment and how to best handle them with nutrition interventions, and to be familiar with other nutritional recommendations for cancer treatment. So what is a well-balanced diet? So Hippocrates, the father of Western medicine, quoted, "Let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food." He recognized the value of eating a variety of foods and eating well to better our health. What is proper nutrition? Food is our fuel. We need to consume the essential nutrients needed to carry out normal tissue growth and repair. If we consume the essential nutrients, we can optimize the body's function by fueling with proper nutrition. And foods provide 6 major nutrients that provide energy, build and repair body tissue, and regulate our body functions. So what is eating well? Eating well means that if you eat a healthy diet, you will help build your strength, prevent body tissue from breaking down, rebuild that tissue, and then maintain defense against infection. If you're eating well during treatment, you can cope better with side effects, you can handle higher doses of certain drugs, and then some treatments work better if you're getting adequately nourished through different nutrients. So our recommendation is to include foods from all food groups in the right proportions. So those foods are grains, vegetables, fruits, dairy, protein, and fats. And here on the slide, we have a picture of a rainbow of foods. And so we want you to eat a variety of foods and eat the rainbow, because different foods provide different nutrients, and these nutrients are either vitamins, minerals, or phytonutrients. And if you eat a variety of nutrients, you'll get a lot of different benefits from them. So there's this term called energy density, which is the number of calories in a specified amount of food. There are calorie-dense foods and nutrient-dense foods. The calorie-dense foods contain a high amount of calories per serving. They are likely empty calories and provide no nutritional value. These foods are highly processed. They contain a lot of sugar, fat, and salt. The nutrient-dense foods contain high amounts of nutrients compared to calories. They contain a lot of water. And these foods are found in protein, carbohydrates, fiber, vitamins, and minerals. So as a dietitian, our recommendation is to eat nutrient-dense foods and to avoid those high energy-dense foods to consume a well-balanced diet. This is a picture of what calorie-dense foods are and the nutrient-dense foods. And you can see that the calorie-dense foods are really those processed foods of cakes and pies and pizza and soda. And the nutrient-dense foods are the foods that have a lot of, that are your fruits and vegetables and contain whole grains. So we recommend the nutrient-dense foods because they are lower in calories and fat and higher in vitamins and minerals. So I keep mentioning this word nutrients. So I'm going to go now into the different types of nutrients, and those are protein, carbohydrates, which include fiber, fats, water, vitamins, and minerals, and the mechanisms behind them in terms of providing you good health. So protein is needed for growth, repair body tissue, and to help improve your immune system. Your body likely needs more protein during cancer. We recommend choosing lean sources of protein, and these sources can be fish, poultry, lean meats, eggs, and dairy products. And then also to remember those plant sources of protein, which are legumes, nuts, and seeds. When your body doesn't get in enough protein, it can break down the muscle for the fuel it needs. And this can take longer to recover from illness and can also lower your resistance to infection. So we want you to consume a lot of protein during your cancer treatment. Carbohydrates are the body's major source of energy. The major form of energy is broken down into what we call glucose or blood sugar. It's important to give your body this important fuel because it needs it for proper organ function and just performing your daily activities. There are different types of carbohydrates. We have your simple, your complex, your starches, and then also fiber. The carbohydrate sources can be found in fruits, vegetables, dairy products, and whole grains. Now we're going to talk about fiber. So fiber helps normalize your bowel function. There are two different types of fiber. You have your insoluble fiber and your soluble fiber. Your insoluble fiber moves food waste out of the body quickly. It does not absorb any water, and so an example of an insoluble fiber is celery. Soluble fiber binds with water in the stool to keep the stool soft. So an example is oats because it gets sticky when it becomes wet. And this is a good graph or table of showing the difference between the soluble fiber and the insoluble fiber. So soluble fiber is good for both diarrhea and constipation, and the insoluble fiber is better for constipation because it helps move those bowels quickly through your intestines. Here on the slide is also some different examples of what soluble fiber is and insoluble fiber. So if you're experiencing one or these side effects during treatment, you would likely want to consume either soluble fiber or insoluble fiber. Now we're going to talk about fat. So fat helps the body grow and develop. It's a rich source of stored energy, and the body breaks down the fat to release energy for use. Fat is also used to protect the cushions of cells, internal organs, and the skeletal system. Fat is also needed to help with absorbing those fat-soluble vitamins of A, D, E, and K. And there are different types of fat. We have your polyunsaturated fats, your monounsaturated fats, your saturated fats, and your trans fats. And these are also termed healthy, unhealthy, and ugly fat. So your healthy fat helps lower your total and your bad or LDL cholesterol. There are two types of healthy fats. We have your polyunsaturated fats, which are also your PUFAs, and these can be found in corn oils, soybeans, sesame seeds, walnuts, almonds, flaxseed, and then fish, which has omega-3 fatty acids. And then we have your monounsaturated fats, which are your MUFAs, that can be found in avocados, peanuts, seeds, canola oil, and also olive oil. Notice that our healthy fats are mostly found from our plant sources of fat. Then we have your unhealthy fat, which is also saturated fat. And these fats are fixed with a rigid structure that makes them solid at room temperature. These fats are likely found in your animal sources, such as lard, butter, meat, and dairy, and then some plant sources of palm and coconut oil. And these are termed unhealthy fat because they raise that total cholesterol and also your bad cholesterol or your LDL cholesterol. Then we have our ugly fat, which is termed trans fat. And these are unsaturated fats that are transformed into saturated fats. These are found in hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated oils and can be found in processed foods, pies, and vegetable shortening. And these are the ugly fats because they raise that total and bad cholesterol. Now we're going to talk about water. So water is needed because all of your cells in your body need water to function. And dehydration can occur when you're not getting enough fluids or you lose too much fluids through either diarrhea or vomiting. So the recommendation is to consume about 8 8-ounce glasses of liquid each day or the amount prescribed by your physician. When you consume a well-balanced diet, you'll likely get plenty of vitamins and minerals. However, during cancer or when you're going through the cancer treatment, you may be lacking in some of these vitamins and minerals because you're not eating as well as you would when you weren't going through treatment. So your doctor or dietitian may prescribe you to take a multivitamin, Or if you're really not eating for several weeks during your treatment course, you may likely develop some vitamin or mineral deficiencies. And so it's important to discuss with an oncologist or your physician if taking a vitamin or mineral is beneficial, because there are some research out there that shows that these vitamins and minerals may cause harm or interact with your treatment. So it's just good to talk to your physician about if taking a vitamin or mineral is important during your treatment course. Specifically, antioxidants in treatment. So an antioxidant is a natural substance that helps prevent or stop cell damage caused by free radicals. And these antioxidants can be found in that are found in vitamin A, C, E, beta-carotene, lutein, lycopene, and selenium. This is a controversial subject right now because there are some benefits to consuming antioxidants, and there's also some risks. The benefit is if you consume antioxidants through fruits and vegetables or whole foods, you likely may lower your risk of certain cancers because there are some benefits to consuming fruits and vegetables. However, if you actually take an antioxidant as a supplement, it may increase your risk of cancer or concern that this antioxidant may interfere with the efficiency and increase the risk of toxicity during your treatment course. So again, the recommendation is to consume through foods these antioxidants rather than supplements, because we're really not sure how those supplements are going to interact with your treatment course. There is this term phytochemicals or phytonutrients, and these are naturally occurring in plant chemicals. They help stimulate the immune system, they can help prevent DNA damage, and they can slow the growth rate of certain cancer cells. And so they are already found in a lot of different fruits and vegetables, and they provide a lot of benefit to us. So here's a good table that kind of breaks down the difference between where these phytonutrients are found. And if you see, there's different colors, different foods, and then the benefits they provide. So let's take a look at the red column, which can be found in tomatoes, and that's lycopene, and it's an antioxidant. So as I said, it may help with the free radical damage that can be caused by those free radicals. If you look at the green section, the spinach, it has folate and it helps build healthy cells. So you may already be consuming a lot of these nutrients and you didn't know that they provided these great health benefits that they do. So as a dietitian, we follow the MyPlate recommendation. Do you guys know all about the MyPlate recommendation? Have you heard of that before? So it replaced the MyPyramid recommendation. And the MyPlate really just goes into what your plate should look like at every meal that you consume. So we recommend eating half of your plates of fruits and vegetables, choosing lean sources of protein, and then also focusing on half of your plate as whole grains, and then choosing a lean or low-fat dairy source. So if you go to choosemyplate.gov, this is what the picture will show like, and it kind of goes into what a healthy diet is and how to consume those nutrients that you need and what foods those nutrients come from. So this is the just the beginning page, and then it goes into the specific food groups, and this is the grains and how it looks, and gives you some information about how beneficial grains are in your diet. I did want to mention physical activity and movement because this can also help maintaining that healthy lifestyle. When you do physical activity, you maintain your muscle mass, your strength, your stamina. It can help reduce stress, depression, and fatigue, and also sometimes improve your appetite. So the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services in 2008 came out with the physical activity guidelines for Americans, and they recommend doing about 150 minutes of moderate activity each week, and this moderate activity could just be walking. However, there's some important things to take into account. We don't want you to overdo the exercise. We want you to really listen to your body and rest when needed. And then remember, the more physical activity that you do, the more calories you're going to burn. So we wouldn't want you to do too much physical activity and not be able to eat enough. And so this is kind of a fine balance between doing that movement and also maintaining your weight. So now I kind of went into like what a healthy diet is, what a well-balanced diet is, and now I'm going to specifically talk about nutrition during treatment. So the American Cancer Society quoted, "Nutrition is an important part of cancer treatment. Eating the right kinds of foods before, during, and after treatment can help you feel better and stay stronger." So there are some different goals that you want to think about when you're going through treatment, and then the goals when you're done with treatment. The goals during treatment are to prevent that significant amount of weight loss and to modify your diet to combat those side effects that impact eating adequately. For the recovery process, we want you to focus on eating healthy to regain that strength and also rebuild that tissue that you may have lost and just to feel better overall. This is also a time, if you can, to help achieve that healthy weight that you should be at for your body size. So the cancer and the treatment can change the way you eat, and it can also change the way that your body metabolizes nutrients and tolerates certain foods. And so you may need to alter your diet to help build strength and tolerate the effects of cancer itself. So I just wanted to bring this up. It's not the time to lose weight. A lot of individuals think if they're on the overweight or obese size, this is going to be a great time to lose that weight that they wanted to initially. But there's a lot of research out there that shows that even a 5% weight change can impair your ability to cope with the treatment side effects and also can lead to this term called malnutrition and can delay treatment. So really during this time, we just want you to maintain your weight at whatever weight you are, and then after treatment, if you want to talk about like losing weight or just feeling better overall, we can definitely discuss that then. So whether you're getting surgery, radiation, chemotherapy, hormone therapy, those destroy your cancer cells and also damage those healthy cells, and that's how you develop these different side effects. So on the slide here are a lot of the nutritionally related side effects that can happen during treatment, and we'll go through each one of these and how you can combat those with nutrition interventions. So a dietitian, how many of you worked with a dietitian before? Okay. So a dietitian is really helpful during your treatment course or even before or after treatment because they can really help you get the proper nutrition during your treatment or just for the recovery process. They can help manage those side effects and maximize your nutrition during treatment. They provide nutrition recommendations, recipes, and ideas on how you can meet your calorie and protein needs. And they can also help with meal planning and work with you on any other comorbidities that you might have to help you get through your treatment course as best as possible. So every dietitian has to dose a person's individual calorie and protein requirements. And so here on the slide is just a little bit of information on how we do that. Basically, if you're at a stable weight, we're likely just going to dose you at an adequate calorie range and an adequate protein range. If you've lost weight before you started your treatment course or before you saw the dietitian, you might likely increase your calorie recommendations because you're going to be in that stressful environment and you likely need more calories to maintain your weight. For protein, we might modify your protein needs based on your, kidney function can alter your protein needs, but also how much muscle do you have right now and if you need to, how much muscle you need to maintain while you're going through treatment. So if you don't know your calorie and protein requirements, I would ask someone to get a dietitian for you, and they can definitely give you an idea of how many calories you should be consuming each day and how much protein you should be consuming each day. So now we're going to look at the different side effects and how to deal with these in terms of nutrition interventions. So the first one is fatigue. Fatigue is a main side effect that comes with treatment or just the cancer itself, and it's really due to not eating enough, lack of sleep, depression, low blood counts, and some medications. And so the recommendations are to prioritize your activities, move around or take short walks, and drink plenty of water. If you eat protein, fat, and fiber with each meal and snack in between your meals, it will likely help normalize your blood sugar levels and make you feel better. We say a little bit counts, so even if you're just going to have a bite of something, that extra bite of food is going to give you some calories, which is going to give you energy to walk around and do your daily activities. So an example here of a great high-calorie, high-protein snack would be a banana and peanut butter. Again, you don't have to consume a lot of it to get those calories, but just a little bit will provide you a lot of energy. Your appetite is likely going to change when you're going through this course, and a lack of appetite can lead to weight loss and also weakness and fatigue. So we have a lot of recommendations for a low appetite, and the main one is to eat smaller, frequent meals that are higher in calories and protein. Again, to get that benefit of just eating a little bit to provide more energy. We want you to keep a variety of protein-rich snack ideas on hand that are easy to prepare and eat. Eat those nutrient-dense foods, as I said, and also, focus on eating high-calorie, high-protein foods. And I know at the beginning of the presentation I talked about avoiding those calorie-dense foods, but again, sometimes when you're going through the treatment course, you need to maybe alter your diet a little bit to get those extra calories. And so this is the time when you're just not feeling so well, is we just want you to get the most calories you can, and we may recommend you eating those calorie-dense foods just to get the extra energy. We want you to eat your biggest meal when you're the hungriest, and eat your favorite foods when you feel when you have the most energy. There are some appetite stimulants out there, but that would be something to talk to your physician about. Sometimes they do work and sometimes they don't, and there are certain side effects that come with them. So that would be something to talk to your physician about. So through the next part of the presentation, I'm going to kind of go through different high-calorie foods, what foods would be better for nausea and diarrhea. So there's a lot of graphs and tables that you might want to take pictures of, or just kind of write down what foods would be better for those certain side effects. So some high-calorie foods, what we recommend is, adding that extra butter or a salad dressing or gravy or sauce to the food to get those extra calories. About a tablespoon of oil and butter is about 100 calories. So if you're lacking in that extra tablespoon, you're going to be lacking in that extra 100 calories. And you may think that 100 calories isn't anything, but it actually is if you're really not eating well. So here on the slide is just some other high-calorie foods and how you can add calories to certain foods. Now these are some high-protein foods, and protein is found, as we said, in a lot of your milk products, your eggs, your meat products, and then your beans, legumes, and seeds. And so here on the slide is just some really good ideas of how to get your extra protein in your diet. One we like to really talk about is those nuts and seeds, or even nut butters and seed butters, because that's a really good way to get a lot of calories, but also a lot of protein. And all it is you don't have to really take a lot of effort to consume it. You just need to put it on a banana or some type of, like piece of bread, and you can just get an extra calories and protein that way. Here are some healthy snack ideas that have that protein and carbohydrate, and we often recommend doing a protein and carbohydrate to make you feel fuller for a longer period of time. A perfect example would be Greek yogurt and berries. The Greek yogurt would be your protein source, and the berries would be your carbohydrate source. Another good example could be cottage cheese and sliced pears. Again, the cottage cheese would be your protein source, and the sliced pears would be your carbohydrate or fruit source. Another side effect that you may develop could be nausea and vomiting, which could be acute, delayed, or anticipatory. And so a lot of the nausea recommendations are very similar to how you get high-calorie, high-protein foods, but kind of a little bit different. So we recommend you eat smaller, frequent meals, again, to help have that nausea feeling go away. Sometimes when we don't eat for a long period of time, we're going to feel very empty and our stomach's going to feel queasy. And so eating more often can help, prevent that from happening. We want you to eat more drier, starchy, or salty foods, and those are your crackers, toast, and bread every few hours just to help coat your stomach. Sometimes we recommend eating foods that do not have strong odors, because some of those strong odors may cause that nausea feeling. And then eating cool foods instead of that hot or spicy foods can also help in terms of that nausea, just feeling overall, or also just the sense of the food can cause that nausea. A recommendation we often say is to avoid foods that are overly sweet, greasy, fried, or spicy, because those foods have shown to exacerbate your nausea. And then avoid favorite foods until those symptoms resolve. We would hate for you to have something that's one of your favorite foods and then you throw it up and then you don't want to eat it again. So definitely avoiding those foods would be important for you. Sipping on clear liquids to prevent dehydration is key, especially if you're having a lot of nausea and vomiting. The vomiting is going to cause you to have dehydration, and so just trying to drink as often as you can to prevent that dehydration from occurring. And then sometimes, when you have that nausea feeling, you're going to have a weird taste in your mouth, and so putting some type of candy or like lozenge in your mouth just to get that weird taste out of your mouth would be beneficial. And so here is a nausea food list, and it kind of breaks down the different food types and also what you should eat and what you should avoid. And so you can see here on the slide that a lot of the avoid foods are those fatty, greasy, high sugary, and just overall really heavy foods. And the foods we recommend to consume are more of those lighter foods that can really coat the stomach. So diarrhea is often another side effect that can happen, and diarrhea is termed if you have 3 or more loose stools per day, and diarrhea can cause you to have dehydration, weight loss, appetite, poor appetite, weakness, and fatigue. And so here are some recommendations for if you have diarrhea. We want you to avoid those high insoluble foods, fiber foods, which are those nuts, seeds, whole grains, legumes, and dried fruits. Avoid any high fat, fried, or greasy foods. Those foods often cause more diarrhea. Avoid spicy or very sweet foods. Again, those foods cause more diarrhea. And then avoid lactose if you have any lactose problems with diarrhea. We often recommend following something called the BRAT diet, which is bananas, rice, applesauce, and toast. And those foods have been shown to help improve your diarrhea. And then again, increasing that soluble fiber intake of foods, so the applesauce, bananas, oatmeal, rice, and sweet potatoes, again to help minimize your diarrhea. If you're if you're having a lot of diarrhea, we recommend drinking as much as you can to prevent that dehydration. And so here on the next slide is a diarrhea food list for you. Again, what foods would be better for you, what foods would be not as good for you or may exacerbate that diarrhea. And so you can see here a lot of them are just very plain soluble fiber foods that really don't have a lot of nutritional value to them, but can help bulk up that stool and prevent diarrhea from happening more. Constipation, so the opposite can happen as well, and it can happen because of the pain medications, if you're not being as active as you were before, or you're not really drinking a lot of fluids, that can help you, that can cause constipation to make your stools be a little bit harder. And so the recommendation is really to focus on hydration. We recommend consuming about 8 to 10 cups of liquids per day, and sometimes even those hotter liquids, such as like hot tea or hot lemonade can help, and hot coffee can help, move those bowels a little bit faster. Prune juice is also an example, or even just prunes alone that can help with your constipation. If you're not on a bowel regimen already, I would talk to your physician about maybe starting a bowel regimen for you. And then also eating those high insoluble fiber foods of those whole grains, fruits, and vegetables that are raw with the skins, and then dried beans can help with the constipation. Another recommendation is to avoid gas-containing foods, because that can just lead to like bloating and just uncomfortableness, and so avoiding those gas-containing foods can help with your constipation. So here's a list of those foods that may cause gas, and again, you may not realize that a lot of these foods are probably foods that you consume on a regular basis, and I'm not saying to avoid them, but if you're noticing you're having more gas or feeling really bloated, I would recommend avoiding some of these foods. Dry mouth and thick saliva can also occur with your treatment course, and a dry mouth can increase the risk of mouth infections. And so the recommendation is to try to drink plenty of fluids. Always carry a water bottle with you and make sure that you're constantly drinking. Take small bites, and foods chew well. Oftentimes if you're really having that dry mouth, nothing's really going to be able to go into your mouth well, and so chewing them as much as you can before would make it go down a little bit easier. Definitely eating softer, more moister foods that are cool or at room temperature can help with the dry mouth. And then avoiding any foods that can like stick to the roof of your mouth, which would be peanut butter, for example. Oftentimes we say to moisten your foods with different broths or soups or sauces or gravies or yogurts, again to help the foods go down a little bit faster. And then another recommendation is we actually tell people to suck on some type of candy or mint or gum to stimulate the saliva, because that can help with that dry mouth and improve the saliva that you have in your mouth. And then also a recommendation is to just perform good oral care hygiene. And one recommendation we have is to use water, salt, and baking soda, and adding that together and doing that frequently throughout the day or before you're going to eat, because that's going to clear your mouth a little bit more. So here is a list of the dry mouth food lists, and again, a lot of the foods to avoid are those dry foods that really have nothing added to them, and then the foods we recommend are just adding those extra calories through soups and sauces and gravies to get them more moist. You can also develop a sore throat or mouth sores. The recommendations are similar to the dry mouth, but we often tell people to recommend or avoid those tart and acidic or salty foods, because that can cause that sore mouth. But again, if you're really not having a sore mouth from like grapefruit or oranges, I would say eat them until you start developing some sores from those foods. I would let you eat them as much as you can. You can also avoid pickled vinegar or tomato-based foods because that can cause some sore mouth or mouth sores, and avoiding foods that have a rough texture because, again, that can really hurt your mouth. Eating soft and creamy foods is really what we recommend. You can often puree foods or just put foods in a blender, make them more of like a paste or a slurry. That could be a way for you to get foods down, but again, sometimes the texture really bothers people. So this is a great time if you're really into like smoothies and shakes. You could be consuming a lot of shakes and smoothies at this time by just putting these foods in a blender. And then also avoiding any spices that may cause some irritation, like chili powder, curry, hot sauce, or pepper. But again, if you're really not having any issues from these foods, I would recommend eating them. So here is a good list of the sore throat and mouth sores food list. And again, which foods would be better and which foods you may want to avoid. And again, the avoid foods would be those spicy foods or those really dry foods or the foods that have a lot of irritation to them, like the citrus fruits. And then the foods to consume would be those soft foods. So you can also develop some swallowing problems. There are some different terms that you might hear of. Difficulty swallowing is termed dysphagia, and then pain with swallowing is called odynophagia. And you may be referred to a speech-language pathologist to help teach you how to better swallow and to avoid like coughing and choking when eating and drinking certain foods. And so sometimes they may come and evaluate your swallow function if it gets really bad, and they may recommend a specific diet for you. This could be you need pureed foods, you maybe need like a modified texture diet, or you need like blenderized foods, and it really depends on how your swallow functioning is happening. And then also they may put you on like a thickened liquid because often people get choking with thin liquids, and so you might be put on a thickened liquid and do like nectar thick liquids, honey thick liquids, or pudding thick liquids. So again, these are some examples of foods that you should consume for the different types of diets that the speech pathologist may put you on. Again, the pureed and full liquid diet are very like mashed potato-like consistency. And then the mechanical soft diet is if you're just kind of having a lot of sores in your mouth or your mouth is really dry, we may put you on a mechanical soft diet just because it's hard for you to chew and swallow. If you aren't seen by a speech pathologist, I would just recommend maybe trying to follow these certain food items if you're really having problems. But again, you would only be put on a puree diet if you can't tolerate the foods or if the speech pathologist tells you so. So taste and smell changes. This is a huge one that affects people during treatment, and there's different terms for these taste changes. You can either have very little or no taste, a metallic or bitter or salty taste, or just a decreased sense of taste. And so this is the hardest thing I think that people have a hard time dealing with because they used to love eating foods and now they don't taste the same. And so what recommendations are there to help improve those taste buds? So some recommendations we may say is to use plastic instead of the like metal utensilwares because that metal may cause like a lingering taste on your food. And so switching to paper and plastic may be an option for you. Again, doing sugar-free gums or candies can eliminate that bitter taste, but also maybe help stimulate your saliva. Seasoning foods with different flavorings, such as lemons and limes, vinegar, and pickled, I've heard are very strong taste, and that may improve the taste of the food. And also just trying different flavorings and seasonings and spices that you may not have before may help improve the taste of the food. You may have loved a food when you were younger and now don't like it and may hate a food that you used to love. So it could be something just to kind of experiment with on a day-to-day basis. Another thing we tell people to do is do the opposite flavor. So that means adding sugar to salty foods and adding sweet to salt foods. So I'm not saying that's going to solve the solution, but I had a person who put sugar on like a tomato sauce for the pasta, and it helped bring out the tomato flavoring. So again, it's really just experimenting with different things and seeing what works for you. I have heard that lemons and limes and cinnamon and mustard are flavorings that kind of bring out the flavor of the food, so that might be something to take into consideration. And then also just performing good oral hygiene and then keeping your mouth clean and brushing your teeth often can help with those taste buds. So now we're going to go into some special diet recommendations that I've just heard people ask about and just wanted to give some more information about. So the diet for the weakened immune system. So your treatment can weaken your immune system by affecting the blood cells that can help fight infection. And so people always ask, is there a diet that can help improve my white blood count, or is there a diet that can help improve my immune system? And there isn't, but there are some things that you can do to avoid the exposure of infection. And that's by practicing good hygiene, doing good hand washing techniques, and also following those food safety practices. So there was some recent literature out there that showed that there are maybe some nutrients out there that can help boost your immune system, and these nutrients are vitamin A, C, E, and then zinc. Vitamin A, C, and E are those antioxidants, as I kind of talked about before, and so consuming these foods may help boost your immunity by including these nutrients in your meal plans. And so here on the list are what these vitamins may do, and minerals, and then also the food sources they come in. How many of you have heard about the Neutropenic Diet? Can I have a show of hands? Does your institution follow this Neutropenic Diet? So they used to have this Neutropenic Diet be in place, and it might have been called the Reduced Bacteria Diet, or the Sterile Diet, or the Low Microbial Diet. And basically the reason for this diet is that it helped decrease the risk of foodborne illness while you are immunocompromised. However, recently, guidelines from institutions vary because their literature isn't as strong as it used to be. So some institutions may have you on a very strict neutropenic diet where when your neutrophil count is less than 1,000, you can't have any fruits and vegetables. And then other institutions may put you on a general diet and just make you follow those food safety precautions. I can say at my facility at Rush University, we had the neutropenic diet before 2011, and then we did a lot of research and found that there really wasn't any benefit to avoiding those fruits and vegetables, and the risk of infection was actually very similar. And so at Rush, we just put them on a general diet and really just go over what a food safety diet should be and how to follow those food safety practices. And then the CDC and the FDA do not really support the neutropenic diet, so a lot of facilities are kind of getting away from this and just focusing on just food safety precautions. So if you ever see a dietitian, they may recommend this food safety nutrition therapy handout, which kind of goes over guidelines for which foods to consume and which foods to avoid, also what temperatures should meats be cooked at, and also how to really prepare your fruits and vegetables. And so again, the guidelines vary from institution to institution, but I'm going to kind of go over what foods would be better for you and what foods you should avoid. So specifically with bread, cereal, rice, and pasta, usually these are very safe to consume. If they're prepackaged, there's really no issue for them. I would say if you're going and having going to a party and there's going to be some bread in baskets, I may avoid consuming those foods because again, you're not really sure who else touched the bread beforehand and if they washed their hands. But again, I'm not saying you have to be so cautious with this. This is just if you want to take extra precautions. With fruits and vegetables, they just need to be really washed and maybe lightly scrubbed. Again, we just want to avoid any bacteria that can be left on the fruits and vegetables. And then the ones to avoid would be anything that's raw fruits and vegetables, and then raw sprouts or something that we still don't know how they're prepared in terms of if they still have any dirt on them, and so we just recommend avoiding those entirely. With desserts and sweets, we recommend with desserts and sweets, recommend any commercially prepared products is fine, and then anything that's unrefrigerated or cream-filled pastries or raw honey or raw honeycomb, we're not really sure how those are going to set well, and so we would recommend avoiding those. Let me go back to the first slide. Sorry about that. So meats, we recommend and making sure that they're cooked really, really well. If you put a thermometer in them, make sure that they're cooked to the right temperature. We want you to make sure that they're not pink and they have the juices run clear. For eggs, those are totally fine. We would just want you to avoid those raw eggs, so the over easy eggs, the poached eggs, or those soft boiled eggs or sunny side up. So scrambled eggs or hard boiled eggs would probably be the ones to consume, and then to avoid any unpasteurized eggs. And then the milk and dairy products. Pasteurized milk products are okay. Yogurt and cheeses and other dairy products are fine. And then the cheeses that are on the moldier side, such as the blue or the Gorgonzola or the sharp cheddar, brie, or farmer's cheese. Again, those older cheeses may cause you to be more at risk for a foodborne illness. We would just want you to avoid those certain cheeses. So there are some serving and storing safely techniques we recommend. The main one is to avoid foods in the temperature danger zone. So the temperature danger zone is 40 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. So bacteria grows more rapidly in that temperature zone. So we would want you to have hot foods above 140 and then cold foods below 40. If you're really not sure, again, put a thermometer in it and make sure you read it appropriately. If you want to retest your thermometer, reading it at 212 degrees Fahrenheit in boiling water can help improve the accuracy of the thermometer. So again, cook meat until it's no longer pink and the juices run clear. Meat should be cooked to about 160 and then poultry about 140. And then if you're ever concerned, when in doubt, throw it out because you're not sure how it's prepared. So storing and preparing food safely, we want you to wash your hands thoroughly with warm, soapy water after handling raw meat. We want you to thaw meat, fish, or poultry in the refrigerator or microwave. We don't want you to let it sit out for too long and thaw at room temperature. When buying perishable foods in the we want you to put them in the refrigerator within 2 hours of buying them. Do not keep refrigerated items more than 48 hours because, again, we're not sure what's going to grow after that 48-hour time period. And then washing your fruits and vegetables under running water, and then if you want to use a scrubber just to make sure you're getting off the dirt, that might be helpful as well. And then throwing foods out that look or smell strange would be important for you. So do not cross-contaminate. So using a clean knife to cut different foods would be recommended. Storing that raw meat below the ready-to-eat food in the refrigerator. Using different cutting boards for raw meats would be important. And then cleaning your counters as often as you can with hot soapy water to avoid any cross-contamination. When you're going to the grocery store, we want you to recommend checking the sell-by and use-by dates. We don't want you to eat foods that are bought from the self-serve of bulk containers, and unfortunately, we don't want you to eat those free samples out there, because again, we're not sure how long they've been sitting out and who's touched them before you. And then refrigerate your groceries right away and do not leave them in the hot car would be important. This is also time where we would want you to avoid those salad bar sections or those ready-to-meat sections because, again, we would hope that they would prepare them correctly, but we don't know how long they've been sitting out, and they may have been sitting out for too long. So, again, just avoiding those entirely during this time period. In terms of eating out, ask that foods are prepared fresh. We sometimes recommend doing hot items instead of the cold items because the cold items could be sitting out for a longer period of time and not handled properly. Again, we want you to avoid those buffet style places because, again, we're not sure how they're prepared and handled correctly. And then asking for single serving condiments and avoiding those self-serve bulk condiment containers. Again, we're not sure who touched them before. And then for leftovers, this is a good tip I like to tell people, is to ask for the container to be brought to you rather than having the food go back into the kitchen. Again, just to make sure you're knowing where your food comes from. So now we're going to go into a little bit of a different topic. I wanted to talk about anemia specifically because this can happen oftentimes when you're going through treatment. And anemia is defined as a deficiency in the size or number of red blood cells or the amount of hemoglobin they contain. There is a reduced amount of oxygen that is carried around the bloodstream. And so this can be caused by extensive blood loss or excessive blood loss to cell destruction or a decrease in your cell formation. It can also be caused by just a lack of consuming certain nutrients, and those nutrients are iron, folate, vitamin B12. So we often tell people to eat these foods that are higher in iron and folate and B12, but just to take into consideration that not all anemias are related to a deficiency in dietary foods. So if they are, we may recommend consuming high iron food sources, and iron can be found in two different types of food sources. We have your heme iron and your non-heme iron foods. So your heme iron have higher absorption, and these are found in animal sources such as clams, oysters, mussels, liver, beef, turkey, sardines, and shrimps. And the non-heme iron foods are less available for absorption, and they are more found in your vegetable sources, such as your cooked beans, lentils, pumpkin seeds, baked potato with skin, and then spinach. And so if you're having a hard time consuming iron and having them get the most absorption, we recommend doing certain things to improve the absorption of iron-containing foods. So the first one would be to consume those heme iron foods of those meat, poultry, and fish products. And then sometimes recommending consuming high iron foods with sources of vitamin C, because that can help the absorption. So consuming your meat with maybe oranges or peppers or strawberries or broccoli can help improve that absorption. And then some other things we may recommend to avoid doing if you want to absorb your iron foods more, and that would be avoiding these things 2 hours before and after you take your iron food. And that would be antacids, red wine, calcium-containing foods, and then whole grains and soy products. So if you're really having a hard time getting the most iron, we recommend avoiding these certain things with your iron foods. If you're having a deficiency in folate or vitamin B12, here are some folate and vitamin B12 foods. So the folates can be found in your citrus juices and citrus fruits, bananas, dark green leafy vegetables, legumes, and enriched breads, pastas, and cereals. And then the vitamin B12 can be found in the meat and milk and dairy products. Oftentimes during treatment, you're likely going to be taking some type of steroid for the immunosuppression, for anti-inflammatory benefits, to help improve your appetite, to help minimize those side effects. And steroids can help do a lot of good things. It can help increase your appetite, help with weight gain, but it also can cause some bone loss and lead to osteoporosis. And so we do have some recommendations we tell people to do if they're likely at risk for bone breakdown. So to strengthen your bone health, we recommend consuming more calcium foods. So whether that's through your dairy foods or your green vegetables or your fortified foods. And then if you need to, you can also take a calcium supplement. And here are some calcium supplements that are sometimes recommended. Vitamin D is also needed for calcium absorption. Here you have like how much vitamin D you should be consuming, what the upper limit is, and the sources of vitamin D can come from milk or salmon, and then sometimes you can even get vitamin D if you're out in the sun and can get your vitamin D that way. So when you live in Chicago, unfortunately, we don't have sun all the time, but during those summer hours, you're likely going to be getting a lot of vitamin D if you're out in the hot weather. And then also phosphorus, found in dairy products, chocolate, and colas. And then magnesium, vitamin K, vitamin B6, and vitamin B12 can also help strengthen your bone health. So now I'm going to talk about some other nutritional considerations that I've been asked about through other patients and just kind of give my 2 cents about it. So dietary supplements and treatment. So this is a huge thing that people bring up to me, and why should I be taking any dietary supplements or should I not? So a dietary supplement can be vitamins, minerals, herbs, or products made from plants, animal parts, algae, seafood, or yeast. And people just think they should take them because they provide a lot of benefit to them. But they should really never replace any medication or foods you're consuming. There's very few governmental standards that say that they're safe and effective and are very good for you. And so sometimes if you consume supplements, you may contain higher amounts than what are found in foods. And so that wouldn't be good for you. Natural supplements does not mean that they're safe. And so as I kind of said about antioxidants, some dietary supplements can interfere with your drug metabolism or absorption during your treatment and may cause some harm to you. And so it's really important to talk to your doctor or oncologist and gather as much information as you can about the supplement that you want to take and ask for an open conversation. I would say oftentimes that most cancer experts would recommend not taking supplements during treatment, again, because we're not sure how they're going to affect your treatment course. If there are some that you think would be better, definitely talk to your oncologist because some may say they're okay, but I would say most times they just want you to avoid anything that could cause harm to you. And the only time they may recommend you taking them is if you need to treat a deficiency such as osteoporosis or anemia, as I talked about before. So probiotics is another hot topic out there. It's termed the good bacteria. And the definition is a live microorganism administered in adequate amounts, which have a beneficial health effect on the host. However, the FDA has not approved any health claims for probiotics. You can find probiotics through food sources such as yogurt or also through dietary supplements. So this is a topic where some may say it's okay to take and some may say it's not. I've heard people take probiotics to help improve your constipation and more your regularity with your bowel movements. And others say, I don't want you to take a live microorganism. It would do no benefit to you. So again, this is something to talk about with your physician to see if a probiotic would be beneficial for you. And then sugar and cancer. So this is a big myth out there that people think they should avoid all sugar because it's going to lead to cancer or cause your tumor to grow. This is a myth because in actuality, all of your cells need sugar or carbohydrates to perform its daily activities. In total, we need about 130 grams of carbohydrates per day just to function daily. So we recommend not avoiding all carbohydrates because carbohydrates are found in fruits and vegetables. And as I said earlier, fruits and vegetables provide a lot of benefit to us. And so all of your cells need carbohydrates to function, but if you don't have carbohydrates, you're going to likely have your cells break down and use protein and fat instead. So if you break down your protein, you're going to likely lose muscle mass and then, cause some, muscle breakdown, which wouldn't be good for you. And so the recommendation is to avoid those processed sugars found in a lot of those extra sweets and to consume those natural sugars that can be found in fruits and vegetables and like dairy products instead. So now we're going to talk about nutrition after treatment recovery. And so after your treatment ends, you may still have some symptoms or side effects that affect your health status. And so it may take some time for you to recover. And so for the goal for after treatment is to focus on weight maintenance, being as active as possible, and then consuming a healthy diet. If you lost weight during treatment, we want you to focus on, regaining that weight and achieving a normal, healthy body weight for yourself. And then if you're overweight or obese, like I said, we can focus on healthy lifestyle and weight. And if you want to lose weight at this time, this could be the time to discuss with your dietitian if that would be appropriate for you to or not. The American Cancer Society guidelines on nutrition and physical activity for cancer survivors came out with 3 recommendations. The first one was to get to and stay at a healthy body weight based on BMI, be active, and then eat a variety of health foods from plant sources. And so it kind of ties back to the beginning part of my presentation where we want you to be as healthy and as active as possible to maintain your strength during your treatment course and eat those really good foods for you to better your health. And so before treatment, during treatment, and after treatment, we recommend the same thing, being as physically active as possible and maintaining that well-balanced diet as much as possible. And so a dietitian can help you evaluate and prioritize your overall nutrition status based on your medical needs and your personal goals. And then there are some dietitians out there that are specialized in oncology. They're called CSOs. So I would call your cancer center to see if you have someone available because they have been specialized in cancer specifically. And if you've never really talked to a dietitian and want to, you can go to eatright.org/program/RD-finder, and you can find an RD to talk to through that way, wherever you live and whatever's closest to you. I do not have my CSO, but I'm planning to take it in the next year or so, so it will just make me more qualified to be an oncology dietitian. So now I know a lot of people are really into recipes and what's good for me in terms of the foods out there. So I made up some recipes that have been used in other resources, and I thought we would go over a little bit about them. So the first one is a basic high protein drink. It's a 12-ounce drink, and it really is only made out of Carnation Instant Breakfast milk, whole milk specifically because it has the most calories, and then vanilla ice cream. And you blend it all together, and you can make 530 calories and 23 grams of protein. So this is a really good protein drink to consume if you're really lacking in calories and don't want to eat and have no appetite. This is a good way for you to get those extra calories by not having to consume a lot. The next one is an orange sherbet shake. This is a great shake to make during the summertime, and the thing I wanted to specifically talk about was that 1 scoop of vanilla protein powder. A lot of people ask about protein powders and which ones are better for you, and we recommend whey protein because it's the most natural type of protein powder. And there's a lot of protein powders out there that bodybuilders use that have these extra additives that we're not sure what they are, and so a lot of times we would recommend you not taking those because, again, we're not sure how it's going to affect your treatment course. So if you do want to buy protein powder, whey protein would probably be your best one. They can range from about 15 grams per scoop all the way to about 50 or 60 grams per scoop, so just would be nice to see which one you would want to consume. And then this is okra soup. You know, some people are always interested to find what types of soups are out there. Again, the soups can be used for a sore mouth or dysphagia or just problems swallowing, or, you know, you just need to get something down fast. And so I thought I would just put this up there as a different type of recipe. It's a creamy soup which has higher calories, but people don't really think of okra as a thing to consume, and it has a lot of benefits to it. Quinoa kale cakes is something I've done with actually my patients specifically, and the reason why is quinoa is something that people don't really consume. It's a really good whole grain, and then kale has a lot of benefits to it, and I'm sure you guys have heard about how it's a really good source of nutrients right now. So this is a great example of a way to get a lot of extra ingredients you may not think about, and also get some good calories and protein. And again, just a random, you know, chicken dish that can provide some good value to you. And then this one I really wanted to talk about was the dark chocolate avocado mousse. Avocados are those MUFAs, as I talked about, those healthy fats, and it's a good way for you to get fat by not having those saturated or trans fats. And this is a great alternative to pudding, and you're getting, instead of having those extra added fats, you're getting your fat from avocado, which is a great source of healthy fat. So I've had a lot of people that really like this, and you can see for a half a cup, they make about 500 calories and about 4.5 grams of protein and about 50 grams of carbohydrate. So this is a really good recipe to make that has a lot of calories to it and good fat as well. These are some recipe idea cookbooks that people have told me about, and also I recommend to my patients. The American Cancer Society has a really good one. The American Institute for Cancer Research has a really good cookbook. And then two other ones are also just really good cookbooks for cancer survivors and also people who are going through cancer treatment. And so with that, I am done. Does anyone have any questions? Yeah.
So we will be posting all the slides on the website, on the Online Learning Center, as well as we've got all of this videotaped, so you can go back and watch with the slides, catch up. So all her recipes and everything will be there for you. Okay, hang on. Easier if people can hear you.
What's the deal with coconut oil? I thought a few years ago health food people were promoting this as a healthy oil, and now you have said, and I've read recently, that it is not.
So it's that is a very hot topic right now. There is research out there that shows that saturated fat is actually more beneficial than it used to be, but there is still some research out there that shows it's not. And so in terms of getting the most benefit that you can, I would recommend if you want to do coconut oil, just do it in moderation, but there is some health risk and health benefits with it. So depending on what the research is, I know with cardiology, you know, people are recommending it to help improve your cholesterol levels, but then there are other research out there that shows that it's not good for you. So there is that a controversial subject right now.